Oh man, what happened to the shoot? Come on. Okay, everybody, by five by five. Come on. Come on. So yeah, I decided to go 6 o'clock. I think 6 is a better time, so people get home and have dinner. Ah, Carol's early for once. So yeah, one of my sisters, she called, wanted to know if I wanted a Christmas, mom's Christmas tree, her little one. So I'll show you guys when I get it set up. And got a pizza, and I got sick all of a sudden, so I had to rest up for another hour. So I'm better now. Just going out there in that cold weather, all the snow we had. But I think 6 o'clock is a good time. Uh, Mike, you change your avatar. Yep, we're getting everybody slowly but surely getting everybody back. Yesterday we got over 300 yesterday, so everybody's coming back. But I think the new time will be 6, and Kay will drop the link. We got to get everybody over to the backup channel, the M. It's orange. So we got like 1,700 people. We got to get over to the orange channel. But yeah, Kay will drop the link in. And if Lisa comes in, I got to get her a wrench for the backup channels. Oh, what do you know? We got Tim. We got Mike and Mike. Lori. We're getting doubles in here. Oh, wow. That must have been, were you undefeated, Mike? Did you guys have a perfect season? How many is that for you now? Yeah, those close games are something. Yeah, glad you're better, Carol. Oh, you lost. I thought you won. Oh, I'm sorry. Was there any bad calls? There's always a bad call in all those games, high school games. Everybody gets mad at the referees. Oh, that's again. Was that team undefeated? Stop whining. I'm on the air now. You lay down. Okay, yep. Yeah, what? Basketball, volleyball coming up next? Oh, you stop. You stop. You're fine. It is too cold for the window. And you don't need no more food. You don't need no more food. You're gonna get Ariella all wound up. Yeah. Okay. Get everybody back for next year? Lucy. He's wound up. Oh, you won it last year. Okay. Well, you can't win every year. Chico's wound up right now. Okay. Come up here. So I gotta get Ariella on you. She'll fly over here and poke you. Oh, yep. Oh. You settle down now. I want to start. Okay? Oh. You're going to make me get sick. Gotta have that darn window open. Gonna make me sick. Hopefully it'll only be about 5-10 minutes. So did you guys hear there's a couple breaking news just a little bit ago on Trump's lawyer got denied on something and it's going to the Supreme Court. Then the press secretary had a thing. I got 2 clips on her. And we got Billy Bean out, 24 minutes, 1. And then a lot of short clips. I told Kay Q's on TikTok now. So hopefully Terry will get in, Kimberly, and Dragonfly was in on the other channel. Starfire's not here yet. Okay, we'll wait a couple more minutes. I'm not sure. I'll look it up while we're waiting. I can't get it right now. Yep, Tim. Chico.
Most men over 40 look into the mirror and see this, when they could be seeing this. Most men over 40 look into the mirror and see this.
Okay.
Could be seeing this.
I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Everybody will be coming in hopefully here a little bit. Log into Telegram. Oh, I don't have to tonight.
I was lightning for the thunder.
This one's 14. We'll do this one and then we'll get to the short.
What's up, guys? Spenny. The single most viral post on all of X yesterday came from a very random account, the account for the Minnesota Department of Human Services, where hundreds of government employees in Minnesota accused Tim Walz of massive crimes, saying that he is allowing for statewide fraud to happen to benefit the Somali communities and potentially fund Muslim terrorism back in Somalia. A wild post here that has been seen by 37 million people, 127,000 likes, 35,000 reposts.
Hooray.
Tim Walz is 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. We let Tim Walz know of the fraud early on, hoping for a partnership stopping the fraud. We got the opposite response. Tim Walz systematically retaliated against whistleblowers using monitoring threats, repression, did his best to discredit the reports. Instead of a partnership, we got the full weight of retaliation from Tim Walz, certain DFL members, this is the Democrat Party in Minnesota, and in different mainstream media, scary, isolating, and left us wondering what we can do. It goes on to say that this is a cascade of systemic failures by Tim Walz and the agencies appointed to try and ensure that fraud doesn't happen. It details billions of dollars in fraud stolen from the taxpayers of Minnesota and federal taxpayers. And it links to a right-wing site that no leftist would ever trust or read, the New York Times. Here's the actual article itself. It's real in the New York Times. I just can't believe it. Fraud scandals rattle Minnesota, staggering scale and brazenness. Federal prosecutors charged dozens of people with felonies, accusing them of stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from a government program meant to keep children fed during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's just one of many, many frauds that have to do with Medicaid, Medicare, state pension funds. The last 5 years, law enforcement officials say the fraud took root in the pockets of Minnesota's Somali community. Scores of individuals made small fortunes by setting up companies that billed state agencies for millions of dollars worth of social services that were never provided. Fake claims of autism in their children. And then also, straight up threatening of state agencies, saying that they're going to call them racist if they don't deliver the funds. And the state agencies do deliver the funds. Look here. I mean, this is remarkable. Red flags in the meals program surfaced in the early months of the pandemic. The money kept flowing. In 2020, Minnesota Department of Education officials who administers these programs became overwhelmed by the number of applicants seeking to register new feeding sites and began raising questions about the plausibility of some invoices. Feeding Our Future, a nonprofit group that was the largest provider in the pandemic program, responded with a warning. In an email, the group told the state agency that failing to promptly approve the new application for minority-owned business would result in a lawsuit and accusations of racism that would be sprawled across the news. Feeding Our Future later sued the agency, which continued reimbursing its claims and approving new sites in the months that followed. Oh, so it worked. A report by Minnesota's nonpartisan Office of Legislative Auditor about the lapses that enabled the meals fraud later found that the threat of litigation and negative press affected how state officials used their regulatory power. Well, would you look at that? It's amazing. Get brought here because Somalia is a failed terrorist state, and then claim that they're being racistly acted upon when they're committing literal frauds against the taxpayers. I mean, it is just brazen. Remigration. It's the only way, ladies and gentlemen. There are some cultures that are incompatible with Western civilization. Anyway, the account that made these whistleblower claims that went so viral was suspended on X. This is after the account said that Tim Walz was actively trying to sabotage them and to attack the whistleblowers themselves. The group is run by current Minnesota Department of Human Services employees critical of Walz. What is going on? So the account was suspended, seemingly permanently suspended, after their posts ripping Tim Walz. Is Tim Walz directly responsible for this? The account has posted since, actually just moments ago, saying, as many of you are aware, we were permanently suspended several hours ago. We're back up due to no small part to the support of many of you. We're very grateful. We started this account in 2022, finally saying effectively that they need to list it as a commentary account and not an official account for the state of Minnesota. So that was, you're not allowed to run accounts that are listed as official when they're not. Okay, so that's what happened there. Anyway, continuing on. Caroline Levitt, who just absolutely and totally torched the Somali immigrants, ripping off American taxpayers here at the White House press briefing today in an absolute tour de force and a savage beatdown. We have two clips for you. This is first Caroline Levitt's opening remarks about immigration in total, and then her beatdown of the Somali question in Minnesota. Oh, here we go. Here's the Minnesota answer. Spicy. Let's go.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 12 ratchets tightening, 11 neighbors nailing, 10 saws a cutting.
Yeah, on immigration, during your topper, you said, and I quote, leaders also have a duty to preserve the integrity and character of our nation's national identity. Can you explain what you mean by our nation's national identity and integrity and character, and how would refugees, people coming from war-torn places who are seeking a safe haven in America, like many of our forebears in this room, not add to our nation's integrity and character of our national identity?
I'll tell you what does not add to our nation's character and integrity is refugees who come here under the alleged plight of asylum and fleeing persecution, and then come to the United States to abuse our system and rip off American taxpayers. And as I pointed out, the New York Times, to their credit, it was about 6 months too late, but they did write about how Somali immigrants in Minnesota have been ripping off American taxpayers. In fact, 86 people have been charged in a rampant and widespread fraud scheme spanning multiple programs in Minnesota. Of those 86, 78 of those people are Somali, 91% of them charged. So far, 59 of those people have been convicted for their roles in fraud plots that have stolen $1 billion from taxpayers. In one scheme, and this is egregious, a nonprofit and its affiliates with these Somali migrants claimed to have fed tens of thousands of American children during the pandemic. They were reimbursed for those meals by taxpayers. However, federal prosecutors found that almost all of those meals were never even delivered to hungry children. In fact, those organizations' leaders spent the money on houses, luxury cars, and real estate in Turkey and Kenya. Another scheme involved hundreds of organizations who were reimbursed for services that were supposed to help people at risk of homelessness. Once again, those services were never provided. All of this has happened under Democrat leadership in a Democrat-run state where these refugees, these migrants are coming to the United States. They are abusing our system. They are draining our resources that should be going to law-abiding, taxpayer-funded, tax-paying Americans. And this president is not going to put up with it anymore. Rachel.
Caroline Levitt followed up that answer by posting how for the New York Times article, pretty remarkable. Must be getting a lot of readership on this one. Smacks down fake news trying to lecture her that third world migrants are critical to our nation's character. Yeah, no, it's not. Caroline Levitt, bodies a
4
reporter.
minutes.
Third world migration. 86 people have been charged in rampant fraud. 78 are Somali. Hammered the Somali fraudsters. Dropped a bomb on the crime-ridden state of Minnesota. Somali immigrants are ripping off American taxpayers. That's right. And they need to be put in prison. How many are there exactly? Total population, let's just round up to 80,000. They're all effectively in the Twin Cities. What's the median household income here? Median household income, the vast majority of them earn $35,000 or less. Goodness gracious. Median household income is $40,000 a year. So they either don't work or don't really want to earn any money. It's incredible. And they don't own homes. Average household size, 4. They're renters, by and large. 86% of them rent. Them own homes. They don't buy homes. They don't set down roots in the community. They just effectively live inside of their own little Somali bubbles, right? They don't assimilate at all. And you can't have a nation without assimilation. Immigration without assimilation is an invasion to take over our culture. That's just a matter of fact. This has all been proven, by the way. Elon Musk posting a repost of a great report proving the Somali fraud. It's crazy and how this money is going back to Al-Shabaab, terrorist, Muslim terrorist organization in Somalia. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is Caroline Levitt's opening remarks on the state of immigration in America. It's profound. It's worth hearing.
President Trump has already permanently paused the migration of foreign nationals from third world countries that pose a very high risk to the United States. For too long, past American presidents supported self-destructive immigration policies that allowed foreigners who outright hate our country and have no interest in assimilating into our culture. They've allowed these individuals to flood peaceful American communities. This disastrous approach has drained our welfare program, driven up the cost of housing, suppressed wages, and jeopardized the safety of law-abiding American citizens. In fact, according to a new bombshell report from the New York Times, Somalian migrants in Minnesota have defrauded nearly $1 billion in taxpayer-funded benefits under Democrat Governor Walz's leadership. President Trump is putting an end to this dangerous America Last approach. His position is rooted in common sense. In the wake of last week's atrocity, it is more important than ever to finish carrying out the president's mass deportation operation. America cannot allow millions upon millions of unvetted illegal aliens to be rewarded with amnesty after they broke our nation's laws to come here. They must go back to their home countries. It is also essential to immediately address the massive fraud and corruption that has been going on for decades in other aspects of our immigration system, most notably when it comes to asylum claims. Millions of people who have come here under false pretenses are told blatant lies now enjoy temporary legal status. President Trump is ending this scam as well. And I would point out that the Democrats have tried to block this administration from doing so at every turn turn with lawsuit after lawsuit. The hard truth is that even when it comes to our legal immigration system, past presidents have failed to ensure that all prospective citizens love America, will add value and contribute to our communities, and will assimilate into our culture. Leaders have a duty to defend and advance the interests of their own people, not foreign nationals. Leaders also have a duty to preserve the integrity and character of our nation's national identity. That is why President Trump is more committed than ever to fully restoring American sovereignty by keeping our borders secure, removing all illegal alien invaders, and rebuilding a legal immigration system that makes sense and benefits our country. President Trump has no higher responsibility than to defend our homeland and our people, and he will never waver in doing so.
Okay, that's the one. That was 14 minutes, first video. So we'll get to the shorts now. I got, let's go this one.
We got him. We got him, and there is no getting out of it now. I'm talking about James Comey.
4 minutes.
And as a bonus, Hillary Rodham Clinton. All of the pieces are starting to come together. Just when people started getting comfortable, just when people started feeling like, oh, we're going to get away with this. No, they're not. Kash Patel came through in a big way. I know a lot of you guys are frustrated with Kash right now. I'll take our wins where we get them right now. Anybody who is on our side at all, I want to encourage. I want to keep going. But this was a huge story. So on my other channel, over on Out of the Darkness, a few weeks ago, I talked about how this whole government shutdown was going to bite the Democrats in the rear end. And I said that because I explained right now, the vast majority of the FBI upper echelon, they had lots of vacation time. They had lots of paid PTO. And so many of those guys, the old guard, they took off. They took their time because otherwise they'd have to work for free. And so who is in the building right now? Who's in Langley? The people that are there are the newer guys, the guys that actually came in with for the right reasons. And I said, what Trump was going to do is he was going to take that time and he was going to comb through that building, comb through the systems. And that's precisely what he did. So it sounds, from what we're understanding, there was bags of trash that were meant to be thrown out and meant to be burned. They were in the burn room, okay? It's full because nobody's taking out the trash right now with the shutdown going on. So James Comey sat before Congress and he said he had no idea. He didn't know anything about Russia. He didn't know anything about the hoax. He didn't know anything about Hillary Clinton. He didn't know anything about anything. And he had nothing to do with the leaks or anything like that. Well, now we know, based on this information that came out last night, not only did he know about it, he orchestrated it, which we already knew. But then we go so far, he is the dumbest criminal of all time because he wrote down notes in his own handwriting. You can't get away from that. Then they found emails. He explained the entire plot. He believed that Hillary Clinton was going to win. He was sure that she was going to win. He worked along with Hillary Clinton to quash the whole email thing and to say, I looked at it. It was gross negligence, or I'm sorry, it was supposed to be gross negligence, but he ended up coming up with his own thing, incompetence, silliness, whatever. But anyway, he said it didn't warrant any more investigation and did not warrant going to jail over. And so Hillary Clinton ended up losing that race. Nobody thought that Trump would ever win that race. She already had a job for Comey. She already had promised Comey a position in her administration. And so therefore he was using the system to leak information to the media about Trump and Russia. This all came from Comey and then went down to Peter Strzok and the rest of them. Guys, we got them. We have the internal emails. And Comey said this was a witch hunt. There's not any evidence of this, and this is political retribution, blah, blah, blah. Well, Pam Bondi said, nope, hold on. We've got 5 pieces of evidence here directly linking you to this. So if you want to keep saying this is political persecution or lawfare, we can just keep showing the evidence, but we've got it. And Comey is cooked. Let me know what you guys think about this. Fantastic day. I'm excited. We are winning. I'll see you guys next time.
So yeah, I just got him on TikTok. He's on TikTok now. And JJ just came out 6 minutes.
Because we make.
Well, here's the Victorian Jacinta Allen live.
Have a little bit more to say in a moment about this fabulous program, and I'm joined by my ministerial colleagues, Deputy Premier and Minister for Education Ben Carroll, Attorney General Sonia Kilkenny. I'd also like to welcome today the interim CEO of our new Violence Reduction Unit, Andrea Davidson. I'd like to welcome Andrea here today. Sorry, Sheena, I should not also forget Sheena's a proud Melbourne Storm fan as well and Member of Parliament. I was also mentioning Andrea Davidson. Andrea, of course, has been serving for some time as our Youth Justice Commissioner and has been doing incredible work in that area, which is why I'm so thrilled to be able to welcome Andrea here today as the interim CEO of the Violence Reduction Unit, which is going to be an incredibly important way. We work differently as a government with schools, with communities, with families to prevent crime, to support kids to turn away from crime, AJ? But most importantly, recognise that there are programs that we need to put in place to support them on their life's journey, which is why I'm really pleased to be here today to announce the newest program that the Violence Reduction Unit will be supporting to stop crime before it starts. And once again, the approach we're taking is a new approach, a different approach. It's working with schools, but also too working with communities, working with the things that we know keep young people engaged, inspired, and also importantly too supported, which is why we are looking at how programs in sports, in arts and music can keep young people connected to families, to communities, but also to provide them with role models that they can look up to, they can connect with, and to support them through whether it's their education, sporting or creative journey. We know that these sorts of targeted initiatives, targeted at young people, supporting them, unlocking the thing that they love the most, really plays a big role in preventing crime and supporting them to turn away from crime if that's a risk in their lives. And we're modelling the Violence Reduction Unit on the very successful models that have been run out of Glasgow and London. And we're taking this new approach here in Victoria by establishing the Violence Reduction Unit under Andrea's leadership, because we know we need a new approach. We know we need new interventions to get in and break this pattern of repeat offending that is causing so much concern in our community. And police have told us as well that this is a new type of crime which needs new interventions, which alongside addressing consequences of this crime, we know it is just so important that the best way to prevent crime is to get in early. We'll acknowledge there are no easy solutions here. There needs to be a range of ways that we get in, prevent crime, because crime is not inevitable. It is preventable, but we need new approaches, new ways of working with young people, supporting young people. And that is why, alongside the programs we've announced already that will be run through the Violence Reduction Unit, the lived experience mentoring program, the work that Ben is leading in schools with the rollout of early intervention officers in schools, today I'm really pleased to be able to say that we're adding to the work of the Violence Reduction Unit with a $4.92 million investment in sports and activities programs. And what we're doing from the get-go is working with those partners in the community who are running incredibly successful programs. And that's why we're here at Melbourne Storm. Melbourne Storm for a number of years now have been running the Storm Whacker program, and it has been a success. And I think, Justin, you brought a group of young people to Parliament earlier this year, and we all got to meet and engage with young people who are working with fantastic role models like Elena to support them. And this is a program that does work particularly with the Pacifica community. And what we've identified as an important, a really important measure as part of our prevention programs is not only do we need to keep kids connected to school, because chronic school disengagement is a big risk factor in kids turning to crime. We also know that where they're connected to sport, where they're connected to role models, and where also too they're connected with culture, are really, really important factors, which is why the Violence Reduction Unit has that externally faced focus on family, on school, on community, understanding they are key to supporting young people, which is why we're so pleased to announce the initial list of programs and partners that we'll be working with, like the Melbourne Storm and their Storm Whacker program. Like the Western Bulldogs, who run great programs through Western Chances and Foundation House, and their Shooting Hoops program as well, are just some of the examples. This is an initial list, and we will add to this list as Andrea continues the work of establishing and rolling out these programs and more programs as part of the Violence Reduction Unit, understanding that crime isn't inevitable, it's preventable, but we do need new approaches here in Victoria to keep young people connected to school, to family and community as well. We also know, though, that alongside this important preventative work, there are no easy solutions here, which is why we understand from listening to victims of crime that there does need to be consequences. Victims of crime have said there's not enough consequences, which is why the attorney has led the work on developing legislation that we'll be introducing to the Parliament today to bring effect to the announcements we've made around adult time for violent crime, where for a range of...
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, that's going to be introduced a little later.
Okay, that just came out, JJ. I got 2 4-minute ones. Oh, 3 minutes.
Referencing bestiality and incest. In her only television interview, the mother explains why she plans to sue the state.
Nikki Gaylard feels betrayed and heartbroken about what happened to her daughter, Courtney.
Courtney just said, I didn't want to be there, Mum, but I didn't know what to do.
The mother of 6 is set to file a lawsuit against the South Australian government in Adelaide's District Court after a presentation at Renmark High School to Year 9 girls last year allegedly referenced bestiality and incest, presenters using the terms sister love and brother love.
And my daughter comes home and feels uncomfortable hugging her brother because she's confused about whether that's because it's her brother.
Miss Gaylard says the girls were also shown graphic images of a topless woman post-gender transition surgery, the surgical scars visible. The mum withdrew her teenager from the school the same day. School principal Matt Evans apologised at the time for the inappropriate material and for not seeking parental consent ahead of the presentation. The South Australian Education Department suspended provider Headspace Berry from delivering the Respectful Relationships program to public schools. Ms. Gaylard says she's taking legal action to ensure this doesn't happen to any other family.
There was zero protection for my daughter that day.
No.
Zero. Nothing. She had no one she could go to.
The lawsuit is being funded by faith-based legal organisation ADF International. Spokesperson Lois McLatchie-Miller was previously in Australia supporting a Canadian activist in successful action against the eSafety Commissioner. She says the South Australian case shocked the organisation.
This is an incredibly strong case. This really gets to the root of the problem that we're seeing across the world.
While legal proceedings are yet to be filed in the court, Sky News understands these are imminent and will name the state of South Australia as the respondent. An education department spokesperson said while what happened at the school was unacceptable, it was an isolated incident and steps have been taken to ensure it doesn't happen again. A Headspace National spokesperson admitted aspects of the presentation were inappropriate, and it had since strengthened its guidance to centre operators. Caroline Marquez, Sky News.
Okay, I got one more.
Entity and insurance. We all know and kind of accept that car insurance companies charge lower premiums for female drivers compared to males. I mean, there'd be outrage if it was the other way around, of course, but we kind of accept that this happens due to differing insurance profiles. But did you know that by choosing to click a box and claim to be non-binary, you could get even cheaper insurance? That's the stunning reality revealed by Ben Fordham on Radio 2GB this morning. According to online quotes for a particular car, Allianz Insurance would cost $2,800 for a male and $500 less for someone identifying as non-binary. And for NRMA, the difference is even greater, an $800 saving for the non-binary option. The story was revealed by a listener, also named Ben, who supplied all the details on air.
So you've entered all of the same details, but when you click the non-binary box, you get a cheaper policy.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, no, so I'm 22 myself, so I'm, the bread and butter for an insurance company, a 22-year-old male. And, I was just going through doing some quotes the other night, and I'm in the process of purchasing a new car. And, I found the box on there, and I thought I'm just going to give it a tick and see what it comes out with. It might be a bit of a joke. And, a joke is right. I was absolutely stunned at what I found.
All of the other details were listed exactly the same?
Yes.
Amazing, isn't it? So there's an incentive there for men to identify as non-binary.
You go.
But sorry to be so binary myself. What about women?
Yeah, that's enough.
Did you try clicking female?
I did try clicking female and I was surprised. So NRMA came back at about $2,300 for the car under a female. So it was still more expensive than what it was under the non-binary.
Right. So under NRMA, males pay the most, females in second place, and the best deal goes to the non-binary driver.
Yes.
Extraordinary. Now, either non-binary people are the safest drivers, and we all ought to be hitting up our non-binary friends for a lift in that case, or this is more evidence of the madness of the woke mindset.
All right, team, listen up. There's a national black.
Okay.
Ruling to disqualify President Trump's pick for New Jersey U.S. Attorney Alina Habba. So there is a 3-judge panel, and it ruled that the Trump administration used an illegal method to nominate Habba as the top prosecutor in the state. The judges wrote in their opinion that Trump administration's argument would effectively permit anyone to fill the U.S. attorney role indefinitely. And this case could see further appeal before a full panel of Third Circuit judges, or it could head to the Supreme Court, and we'll keep you posted on what happens. Appeals court is now siding with a lower court ruling to disqualify President Trump's pick for New Jersey U.S. Attorney Alina Habba. So there is a 3-judge panel, and it ruled that the Trump administration used an illegal method to nominate Habba as the top prosecutor in the state. The judges wrote in their opinion that Trump administration's argument would effectively permit anyone to fill the U.S. attorney role indefinitely. And this case could see further appeal before a full panel of Third Circuit judges, or it could head to the Supreme Court, and we'll keep you posted on what happens. Meantime,
Okay, that was today.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Lake, your new role requires you to
Hold it.
tell the truth. For decades, whenever authoritarians and dictators suppressed the people and claimed victory in fraudulent elections, Voice of America countered those lies. I can't imagine how people fighting for democracy today and around the world can trust someone who has so shamelessly lied about her own election.
Will the gentleman yield to
Ms.
the
Lake,
question?
no, I will not.
Okay,
Ms.
well,
Lake,
just so you
to
know,
regain a
VOA
semblance of
wanted
your
to not
credibility, I
call
will not
Hamas
yield.
terrorists, so
Ms. Lake,
if we're
to
gonna
regain a
berate the
semblance of
witness,
your
we may as well be
credibility.
factual about the evidence.
Are you,
This is the
I did not-
gentleman's
I did not-
time. If you did not yield, you
I did
may
not
continue.
yield, and I'd like the time back. Ms. Lake, to regain a semblance of your credibility, are you finally ready to admit you lost the 2022 Arizona election?
It saddens me that you are from Arizona and you're okay with.
It's a yes or no question,
It
Ms.
saddens
Lake.
me that you are from Arizona.
I guess the answer is no. Reclaiming my time.
The gentleman will suspend, will stop the clock. For all present, members are reminded to avoid engaging in personality toward the president and other members. Okay, and this is a member of the administration, so I would caution all to stay on the subjects and stay off of personalities, please. The gentleman may continue.
Yes, and in this case, these are adjudicated lies. Courts of law have determined that these are lies. These are not me saying it. You didn't
Wow,
just
and the
lie to
courts-
the
the courts
press.
are really
You
awesome
took
right
those
now.
lies to court and lost again and again. Every one of your lawsuits failed. And a federal judge said that you were furthering false narratives that blamelessly undermine public trust. And you didn't just lie, you were formally sanctioned by the court. Ms. Lake, you have been sanctioned twice for providing false information to courts. Isn't that true? Yes or no?
I was brave enough to fight our shoddy elections, and the courts have not caught up.
When it came down to it, you chickened out. You refused to defend those lies in court. You decided to take a default judgment. You are an adjudicated liar and a two-time political
Chairman, I move to
loser
take down
in
those
Arizona.
those
I have
words,
one
please.
final question.
Chairman,
Reclaiming my time.
I'd like
I
to
have one
take
final
down
question.
those
I'm gonna
words.
yield.
It's the gentleman's
I do not yield.
video.
I have one final question
Your
for
friend
you,
calls
Ms.
someone a
Lake. You have
liar.
a chance
That's
to
not
answer.
how
Let me
you
one
treat
final
other
question.
people that
The
are being
gentlelady will suspend, please. Go ahead. You may.
You
continue.
lost for governor in 2022 to Katie Hobbs. You lost even worse to Ruben Gallego for Senate in 2024. Well, Arizona has another election for governor next year. Will you do us all a favor and run it back and run for governor again? I yield.
The gentlelady,
No more questions.
Can I respond to some of that? Because that was complete insanity. I wish I could yield back the last 5 minutes of my life, actually. And I want to apologize to the people of Arizona that we have somebody who's representing the folks in one of our great parts of the valley that doesn't care about the integrity of our election. So but you weren't here. You came in late, and we're talking about USAGM today, the Agency for Global Media, and how they can put out absolute abject lies, and we can't control any. We have no say over what the editorial content is, and I would hope that you would not be okay with that. They could literally put out a lie about anybody here, and I know you've been the victim of that. I know you've been the victim. I remember the stories about you where they said you had a gay lover, and those were going out all
Mr.
over.
Chair.
Chairman.
Can I
I hope
finish the
you
story?
honor what you just gave as a caution to everyone. And I moved those words.
To tell you that those kind of lies, and you said those
rule
were
if you want.
lies, those kind of lies could be broadcast today on VOA, and you couldn't pick up the phone, Representative Stanton, and call them and say, hey, you're putting out lies about me. You would not be able to do that because they would sue you for breaking the firewall. So lies are being told on Voice of America. It's inappropriate. You've been subjected to lies that you said were lies about you in the media before. And how would you like it if those lies were put on Voice of America right now? Because they could do it and you couldn't do a thing about it. You couldn't stop it. You couldn't stop all those lies that you said were said about you if they went on Voice of America today. You'd have to sit and take it.
Okay, Carrie Lake. Billy Bean time. Four minutes.
Time in Texas, 10 a.m. Some of the sources I'll use: God in the Bible, Patriot subscribers, TFI Global, Real Raw News, The Still Report, Hal Turner Plus. So let's get started. Some of the things we'll cover: X2 flare, the sun and its impact on money war, plus President Trump says no to Ukraine and to third world countries. And we have NORTHCOM, U.S. military, getting ready to hit Mexico, while SOUTHCOM is set up to hit Venezuela. So let's get started. This morning off of the sun, we had an X-flare 2 that also produced a CME that'll be coming in a few days. The immediate impact of the 2 X-flare this morning is it took out shortwave radio and other communication platforms directly over Australia. It is expected that we will have more X-flares later today or tomorrow. And we have from Space Weather on YouTube, formerly Suspicious Observers. The sun's activity is also impacting the polar vortex, bringing in very cold air into the U.S. Just this weekend, we had in some areas of Texas, primarily the Panhandle, below freezing temperatures. So that's going on. And yesterday, we had an M-class 6 flare from the sun that produced radiation ionizing the top of Earth's atmosphere, also impacting radio communication ham operators over the South Pacific. And recall, Dr. William Mount heard from God several years ago that God was going to stir up the sun to impact the earth until his people return to him. So we're definitely seeing that. Now we have sources, including Daily Mail, reporting that the sun is impacting planes. 6,000 Airbus planes had an emergency warning from the manufacturer Airbus that the sun, the solar activity, could cause the planes to suddenly fall out of the air and drop thousands of feet in seconds. And it impacts a software program on Airbus A320, which causes the plane to lose steering and stabilization. And we have this. This was first noticed by Airbus October 30, when a JetBlue plane was impacted as it made a trip from Cancun to Newark in New Jersey. It had a sudden drop of thousands of feet with 15 people injured. Airbus is used primarily by Frontier, Spirit, American Airlines, JetBlue, and Delta. Southwest Airlines does not use any Airbus, but only uses Boeing. But we recall we've been hearing some things all year about Boeing planes. So the emergency alert by Airbus to these commercial airplane businesses was to get an immediate software fix. So that's going on. Who knew that the sun would also impact software on planes? And we have this. The sun also is known to impact earthquakes, volcanoes, and so on. And we are seeing a lot more activity, especially in California, which experienced swarms starting about 3 to 4 days ago in various areas in California adjacent to the San Andreas fault line, beginning about November 27, especially around in the San Jose area. We had 3 earthquakes Friday, 3.4, 2.6, 2.5, 3 minutes apart. Thursday, we had 13 earthquakes in this area. So that on the Calvados fault line and other fault lines that tie directly into the San Andreas fault line. I would expect with the strong X flare we had this morning too.
Save on new appliances at Best Buy.
And it's believed, I know Stephen Burns, geophysicist, said we should expect strong X flares in the next few days, that we will see an increase of earthquakes, California, Alaska, the Kamchatka Peninsula, and down to Japan around the Ring of Fire. So it would be good to be in prayer for California. And we have this from the New York Post on Steve Quayle's aggregate site. So we know on Thanksgiving Day, we had a shooting in D.C. Tragically, one of the National Guard soldiers lost her life, and the other soldier hit by a jihadist from overseas is fighting for his life. So that's going on. We had an Afghan national do the shooting in D.C. We had another Afghan national on Wednesday, the day before the D.C. shooting on Thanksgiving, building a bomb to blow up a Texas city, specifically Fort Worth, Texas. He's been arrested. Mohammed Alakoza, has been arrested by Department of Homeland Security, FBI, and Texas DPS. He's been booked into Tarrant County Jail on November 25. And we know President Trump has said no to any asylum seekers from any third world countries, including the Middle East, since these events last week. And we have this in Dearborn, Michigan, which has a large Muslim population. We have asylum people, people from third world countries, including the Middle East, Muslims who came into the U.S. for asylum, standing in American streets, shouting death to America. And Rashida Tlaib, a U.S. politician, refuses to condemn. I say this: the American people this week are going to rise up united in one voice against Muslims who stand in our streets and take actions to destroy America. And we have this. Okay, when the sun is active, we also see an impact on global economies. It affects money. And according to Hal Turner's intel, today, December 1, Japanese government bonds spiked. This indicates this happens when the global economy, and especially in the U.S., is at a crisis point. We have the 10-year Japanese bond yield at 1.838%, the highest since 2009. We recall in the U.S., we had a major economic downturn, a fall in our stock market in 2008, 2009. 20-year Japanese bonds are at 2.890%, the highest since 1998. This happens when people want to invest in a government and take their money out of the stock market. And we have this. We had November 30, over Thanksgiving week, JP Morgan, the largest gold dealer in the world, moving its entire gold desk, 50 traders plus their families, did an immediate evac from New York, Chicago to Singapore. JP Morgan has a gold desk also in Singapore. And it's believed this could have happened, this emergency evac of JP Morgan's gold desk and their families could be for several reasons. Maybe the bankers know that the U.S. is getting ready to engage in some kind of kinetic war activity that possibly could result in hits on New York City and Chicago. Or JP Morgan has oversold paper gold and cannot back up paper gold with physical gold. Now, the Still report on YouTube reports that JP Morgan last week delivered the highest amount of physical gold it had ever delivered, and then did an emergency evac of 50 traders and their families out of the U.S. to Singapore. Something's going on. And we have this. Okay, let's talk about Venezuela.
Hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
And Mexico. So we have two major divisions of the U.S. military, NORTHCOM and SOUTHCOM. President Trump has set up NORTHCOM to hit Mexico. He has set up SOUTHCOM to hit Venezuela. So what happened over the last 3 to 4 days? So we see December 1, today, President Trump had a phone call with Maduro, the leader of Venezuela. And President Trump gave a blunt warning to Maduro. You can save yourself and those closest to you, but you must leave the country now. And we have this. Over the weekend, Russia sent commercial air float planes to Venezuela to evac Russian citizens in Venezuela. And we have this. Over the weekend, the U.S. military activated long-range radar in Trinidad and Tobago. So those are two small islands on which the U.S. military has been setting up. Trinidad and Tobago.
With schizophrenia, it can feel like your symptoms decide what you do and who you can be. If you still have symptoms, be.
And we know we have thousands of troops, also Marines, in Puerto Rico. And we have this. This came out over the weekend. Intel. Maduro preps to evacuate Venezuela. Sources from Caracas report. And Maduro is set to leave Venezuela in a private jet, a Falcon 900, registered in San Marino. And where is he going? He's been given permanent asylum where? In Iran. So that's going on. So over the weekend, he was prepping his jet to evac, and then this morning, President Trump told him, get out. We have this from Real Raw News about Venezuela. U.S. military special forces, Delta and Navy special forces are prepping in Puerto Rico to make a massive child hostage rescue of 600 American children in Venezuela who were kidnapped by the cartel Los Hijos de la Selva, led by Maduro. So that's going on. And we have this. President Trump to the U.S. military NORTHCOM prep to hit Mexico. And the U.S. military, President Trump's direction, they contacted the U.S. Mexican generals to ask them to side with the U.S. military or face the consequences. It's being reported that 50% of the Mexican generals will side with the U.S. and that NORTHCOM is being set up to hit Mexico, to primarily hit the cartels, Sinaloa and CJNG. Yeah, and we know inside the U.S., FBI, DEA, plus state and other federal groups. I believe the U.S. Marshals are involved and state police are involved in making hits on many of the cartel hubs that flow directly out of state governments. And we understand that the federal government has also hit the office of a sitting U.S. senator who was operating a cartel transportation hub. And hey, what about all those reports we're hearing about CDL commercial drivers in the U.S. who are foreign nationals who cannot speak English. Thousands of them have been arrested across the U.S. Could it be that these CDL drivers who cannot speak English and should never have received a commercial driver's license to operate in the U.S., could it be that they are operating for the cartels and transporting drugs? Just saying. So we see a multi-prong targeting going on by President Trump and the American people to destroy the cartels. We have this from TFI Global about Ukraine. So, in the past few days, over the weekend, Ukraine hit 2 Russian oil tankers in the Black Sea, November 29, which directly impacted the nation of Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan's leader has come out and publicly condemned Ukraine, saying that the Caspian Russian oil pipeline.
Sometimes it takes a different
Probably
approach
the last commercial.
Let's go with that one.
to see the possibilities all around.
Is protected by international law, and that Ukraine had no authority to hit that oil pipeline which supplies Kazakhstan. We have this. November 30, there was a meeting at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Representatives from Ukraine, President Trump, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, plus. And President Trump told Zelensky and the other Ukraine representatives no, that Ukraine cannot join NATO and that Ukraine must give up land. Crimea, Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson to Russia as part of the peace agreement, to which Zelensky, we know, whose master is the deep state via NATO and the EU, said no. So, and President Trump also demanded elections in Ukraine ASAP, to which Zelensky, the deep state operative, said no. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, there was a meeting of President Trump and his cabinet, Marco Rubio, Steve Witkoff, plus Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of President Trump. Jared Kushner operates, according to what I see, as an investment consultant for President Trump, the U.S. government. And that Ukraine must okay President Trump's peace plan, not join NATO. They have to give up land. And Ukraine refuses. Ukraine wants an immediate ceasefire along the contact line, the front line. Russia says no to that. President Trump to Ukraine also says no to what Ukraine is saying they want. We have this from Alex Cristoforo. Also, over the past 5 to 7 days inside Ukraine, by the U.S. Ukraine government office NABO, they raided the office of Zelensky's primary advisor, Yermak. He's being charged with corruption. And we have this from Ancient Alarms from the blind Bulgarian prophet Bunga Vanga. I believe she was operating in the early 1900s, who said, in the winter of 2026, illusions will be destroyed by many people on a global basis about the amount of control that the deep state has, and that there will be an increased period of war, economic problems, and also ETs. So that's going on. This concludes my flash update. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
When you've
Oh, okay, that was a little better one, Billy. You guys think? A little better. So I got okay, I found a couple Terrence video on TikTok. It's about a week old. We haven't seen them yet, so get those two, a couple more, and then we'll do Terrence or cast videos. Oh wait, I'm gonna do this first.
$162 million, all seized in one operation. But here's what nobody's telling you about this bust. This isn't just the biggest cocaine seizure by a Coast Guard ship in history.
3 minutes.
This is proof that something fundamental has changed in how America fights the drug war, and the cartels are terrified. I'm going to show you exactly how this went down, why 3 interdictions happened in a single night, and the controversial military tactic that killed 83 people that nobody wants to talk about. Stay with me, because by minute 7, you're going to see actual footage of what happens when the Coast Guard catches a drug boat at sea, and it's not what you think. Let's dive in. November 19th, 2025, 6 a.m., Port Everglades, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Captain Ann O'Connell walks across the flight deck of the Coast Guard cutter Stone. Behind her, rows of white packages, cocaine stacked on pallets, row after row after row. This is what 3 months of hunting drug smugglers looks like. But here's what's shocking. This single ship seized more drugs than the entire United States Navy captured in the same time period. The Navy had an aircraft carrier, 2 cruisers, 3 destroyers, a submarine, over 100 aircraft, 12,000 personnel in the Caribbean. They made 21 interdictions. The Stone, 120 crew members, 15 interdictions, more than double the cocaine seized. And I'm going to tell you exactly how they did it in a minute. But first, you need to understand who was watching this offload, because their presence tells you everything about how serious this is. Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. She's there. Terry Cole, head of the DEA. He's there. Vice Admiral Nathan Moore, commander of the entire Atlantic Coast Guard. He's there. Vice Admiral Moore steps to the microphone and says something that makes the smuggler's blood run cold. We own the sea, not you. We will find you. We will hunt you down. That's not just tough talk. In the next 60 seconds, I'm going to show you the actual operation that proves he's right and why the cartels are scrambling to change their entire strategy. Picture this. It's 2 a.m., middle of the Eastern Pacific Ocean, pitch black. The Stone is cruising at 15 knots when the radio crackles. Contact suspected go fast, heading north. Estimate 4,000 pounds cargo. The crew scrambles. Helicopter pilots rush to the flight deck. Law enforcement teams grab their gear. The chase is on. The smuggling boat is fast, 45, maybe 50 knots. The Stone can't catch it in open water. That's where the helicopter comes in. The MH-65 Dolphin lifts off. Night vision activated. They spot the boat. White wake cutting through black water. The smuggler sees the helicopter, pushes the throttle to maximum. Here's what you don't know about Coast Guard interdictions. They're authorized to disable the vessel by any means necessary. The helicopter drops low. Warning shots first. The smuggler doesn't stop, doesn't even slow down. The marksman in the helicopter switches targets, aims for the engine. Bang, bang, bang.
Okay, that's part 1. Part 2.
Fast boat lurches, slows, dead in the water. Boarding team moves in. 7 suspected traffickers, 4,000 pounds of cocaine. But here's what's crazy. That was interdiction number 1. The Stone made 2 more that same night. 12,000 pounds in one night. 3 interdictions between sunset and sunrise, and that's not even close to the most dramatic thing that happened during this deployment. Stay with me, because the story I'm about to tell you involves a helicopter shooting out engines, a burning smuggling vessel, and a seizure so big it happened in broad daylight with nowhere for the smugglers to run. Okay, so the Stone seized 49,000 pounds. That's massive. But here's the question nobody's asking. Why is this happening now? Why are these record-breaking busts suddenly happening every few weeks? One word, Viper. August 2025, President Trump orders the Coast Guard to launch Operation Pacific Viper. The goal isn't to intercept some drugs. The goal is to destroy the cartel's ability to move cocaine by sea, period. Since August, Operation Pacific Viper has averaged 1,600 pounds of cocaine seized every single day. Think about that. Every morning you wake up, the Coast Guard has pulled a car's weight in cocaine out of the ocean. But the seizures are only half the story. The other half involves missiles, dead smugglers, and an international controversy that has Venezuela screaming about American aggression. September 3rd, a suspected drug boat off the coast of Venezuela. The Coast Guard identifies it, tracks it, vectors and military assets. But this time there's no interdiction, no boarding, no arrests. A Navy destroyer fires. The boat explodes. 11 people dead, all suspected narco-terrorists. That was strike number 1. The military has conducted at least 21 more since then. 83 people killed, all of them smugglers, according to the Pentagon. Is this legal? Is it ethical? Is it working? I'm going to answer those questions. But first, you need to understand the route these drugs take, because when you see the map, everything makes sense.
I got
and
you.
you'll understand why the cartels literally cannot avoid the Coast Guard in the Eastern Pacific. 60 seconds. The map, the route, the vulnerability. Stay with me. Pull up a map of the Eastern Pacific. I'm going to show you exactly why Operation Pacific Viper is so effective and why the cartels are panicking. Colombia, Peru, Bolivia. That's where 70% of the world's cocaine is produced, in jungle labs, hidden in the mountains. But here's their problem. To get to the United States, they have one option: go north. They can't fly it. Too much radar. Can't go through the Panama Canal. Too much inspection. Can't go overland through the Darien Gap. Too difficult. They have to use boats. And boats have to travel up the Pacific coast, past Ecuador, past Colombia's Pacific coast, past Central America, eventually to Mexico. And that entire route, that's where the Coast Guard is waiting. The Stones patrol area covers.
Okay, more part. I got a couple short ones, and then we'll get to Doug's. So I can't remember if we had played this one.
Because it is their fault. If the government shuts down, it is the fault of the Democrats. And Republicans don't cave. Don't fall for the okie doke. President Donald J. Trump, don't fall for the okie doke. Let the government shut down. And you want to know why the Democrats want to shut it down? Because the Republicans are refusing to give free health care to illegal immigrants. They ain't supposed to be here any damn way. Free health care, Americans don't even get free health care. So why in the world do y'all want illegal immigrants to get free health care when Americans don't even get free health care? Make it make sense. And so y'all want the American people to suffer.
Yes, remember this one?
Because you want illegal immigrants who are going to be deported anyway to get free health care? What? Shut it down. Y'all, I do believe it's going to get shut down because the Democrats don't care about the American people. Kalshi is right. It's a 92% chance right now. Actually, I would say it's about 100% chance, because I will bet on the Democrats to not do what is right for the American people. Okay. So the government is going to shut down.
Now,
because
Laura,
the Democrats don't give a damn. But y'all don't fall for the okie doke. Don't even fall for it. Do you get free health care? So why in the world are they fighting for illegal immigrants to get free health care? Why? Why? It don't make no sense, do it? Republicans don't fall for the okie doke. Don't let them shut it down. Shut it on down. I'll be damned if some illegal immigrants get free health care when people who are from America don't even get free health care. Don't nobody in my family get free health care.
Got that right.
Come on, y'all. Make it make sense. The shutdown's going to happen, but blame it on the Democrats. Oh, this 92 is going to 100%. I can guarantee you that because the Democrats don't give a damn about the American people. So we're going to see, though. We are going to see. But if it's shut down, blame it on the Democrats. Blame it on them.
So did I do that one? I can't remember, but I got one more I'm going to play. And I got two Q. New York.
From the flow up. 93%. This man is leading at 93%. Do y'all, New York City, can somebody get somebody from New York City on the phone and tell them to call me? What the hell are y'all thinking? Y'all really want this man running the city? Do y'all really think that's the safest thing? Look at this photo. Do you really want him running the city? He is un-American. And I heard there was some shady stuff going on with his citizenship paperwork anyway. I don't even think he even supposed to be here. And y'all want him running the city because y'all want what? Because he's promising y'all a free bus ride? Y'all gonna put the whole city on the line for a free bus ride? For some free food? Y'all not about to get no free food from this man. Free rent? Come on, y'all. Y'all cannot be this dumb. Y'all can't be this gullible. Don't be this gullible. I need this video to reach everybody in New York City. Y'all bet not do this. And everybody around them, I don't live in New York City, but I'm concerned because New York City is an American city. And we should not let people like him take over. He should be running for office in Afghanistan. He should be the mayor of Afghanistan. Maybe the mayor of Pakistan. But not New York City. Not any city in America. He shouldn't even be qualified to run for office in this country. That's all I'm saying. But this man is at 93% right now on Kalshi. And I'm going to tell y'all right now that these election predictions on this site is normally right. Half of the time they're right. Most of the time, I mean. This is scary that people actually want him to be. They're not going to stop with him. They are going to want thousands of Zorans, whatever his damn name is, running all over the country, running for office all over America. New York City, don't be crazy. Don't be crazy. Do the right thing. Don't choose him. Choose somebody else. You can choose Hermit the Frog. I don't give a damn. Okay? I would trust one of those New York City sewer rats to run the country before I trusted to run the city before I trusted him.
Okay, I hope those two were okay. Those are the last two, Lori. I'll keep an eye on these new ones. Okay, we got five minutes.
Trump is focused, probably the most focused I've seen him since 2016. Donald Trump is bird dog and he is hunting right now states, especially blue states that have committed fraud and have enabled fraud in a major way. States that we've seen them take advantage of the American people to take our tax dollars and willy-nilly give this money away and allow this money to go to foreign countries. And much of this money is being tracked back to terrorist activity. The worst of the states so far is Minnesota. I've spoken about this time and time again, having lived in Minnesota, having seen the Somali population and seeing how they have become somewhat of a protected status. I'll explain to you why here in just a minute, but we now know, and it's come out that Governor Walz has seen it, has watched it, and has actually threatened the good people. The whistleblowers that have come forward that have said, yes, we've seen over $1 billion that has been defrauded from the people of Minnesota, which really and truly is the people of the United States, because our tax dollars go there as well. Money that was supposed to go to feeding starving children, money that was supposed to go to daycare for children, money that was supposed to be used to help those that are less fortunate has been defrauded, and over $800,000 of that money has not been accounted for. There's been over 55 people that have been convicted and jailed as a result of this fraud, and hundreds more that are to come. The problem is that the people who've come forward in government have been threatened with their jobs, have been threatened to have the strong arm of government come back on them if they don't shut up and keep their mouths quiet about the fraud that they are seeing. And now this has come out, and fortunately some brave Americans and brave Minnesotans have said, threaten me all you want. This needs to come out. The interesting part about it is most of this information started coming out during the previous election cycle when Kamala Harris made Tim Walz her running mate. It's disgusting to me that these people feel that they can threaten people and try to steal elections by keeping information quiet. But the truth has a funny way of coming out. I mean, this is over $1 billion that has been stolen. And for whatever reason, this group of Somalians have been given some protected status. I'm not talking about things that I've seen while living there. I'm talking about things that I'm talking about things I've seen while living there. I'm not talking about things that I've heard. I know specifically of situations where large caches of weapons, I'm talking about illegal weapons, I'm talking about RPGs, I'm talking about fully automatic weapons that have been found in homes in Minnesota, in apartment complexes paid for by the government, Section 8 housing, that weapons were stashed in the floor, that sheriff's deputies that I know personally have found these weapons and were told to keep quiet about it and weren't allowed to bring it to the public's attention. I'm talking about going from the sheriff's department, local sheriff's departments, all the way up to the governor's office. Guys, this is corruption like we've never seen before. And we now know that the reason why these people have been protected is because were it not for these immigrants, we would probably see the state of Minnesota go blue or go red. Minnesota is a hugely red state that is controlled by a few metropolitan areas. And unfortunately, we've seen government officials that have allowed crimes to go by the wayside just to ensure that they could stay in power and stay in office. This is about to be blown up. It is a bombshell that is absolutely going to make national news and already making national news, and I'm here for it. I believe Tim Walz should be put on trial and should be put in jail, and Kamala Harris, having known about this and hid it during the election cycle, needs to be prosecuted as well. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below.
Okay, I got about 4 more short ones, and then we'll get to the two cash or that one guy's name. But I got two clips here that's from New York. You guys can hear about this. About a minute and a half.
We got you. Yes, we got your ID.
Man's pants got set on fire. I got a part 2 here. But that was part 2. That was part. Oh. Well, what happened on that one? So that's about pants on fire. I got part 3. I don't know what happened part 1.
Get messy. So after the daycare fraud schemes hit the news, lawmakers, whistleblowers, and even the FBI started to pay attention. Not one case, not 2 cases. There were dozens of cases. So suddenly, names start popping up. Real owners and real companies. Some are charged federally. Some start fleeing the country. Others are still trying to fight the charges.
Okay, what do you think? You remember
The
this one?
FBI has publicly acknowledged this. Minnesota is a hot spot for money flowing overseas, especially to Somalia. And yes, the FBI has said some money has ended up in territory controlled by al-Shabaab. Then things went nuclear. State agencies blamed counties, counties blamed DHS, DHS blamed lack of oversight, and politicians were pointing fingers at each other while millions of dollars evaporated. So when City Journal reported that some of the stolen money may have traveled overseas and may have reached areas linked to al-Shabaab, that's when the whole state went quiet. That's when everybody thought, if this is happening once, how many other money streams are funding this? So here's what nobody in the Minnesota government will say out loud. How much money total was stolen? Which agencies failed to stop it? How many people were involved? Where did the money go? Why did warnings and whistleblowers get ignored for years? This isn't about communities. It's not about ethnicity. This is about systems that failed and people who got rich because nobody was paying attention. And if millions slip through that hole, what else is slipping through right now?
Okay, I'll get part 2.
Millions of Minnesota taxpayer dollars disappeared. Now, in part 2, I'm going to tell you exactly how they did it. Step 1, create a daycare center. No need for it to be big. Just put up cute posters and put out toys. Then you sign up for the Child Care Assistance Program. And that's where the government pays providers for low-income families. Step 2, and this is where it gets wild. You build the state for kids who don't even show up. Or you take a real family, offer them cash or diapers in exchange for their child's name. Then you bill the government 8 hours a day, every day. Step 3, when investigators show up, suddenly everybody's cousin, neighbor, or they're helping out. Every receipt looks perfect. Every form is filled out. It's fraud disguised as paperwork. The City Journal reported one daycare billed the state for more children than actually lived in that neighborhood. Step 4. This is where it starts getting darker. After the payouts hit the account, the money gets withdrawn as cash. Not checks, not cards, cash. Investigators reported some cash was flown overseas, yes, flown, in suitcases up to $1 million at a time. Step 5. Okay, this part is alleged, but serious. Some of the cash went to Somalia. Said that in the last video. Not to families, not to community programs, but to regions under the control of al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda linked terror group. And nobody even tried to stop it. So 6, the big question here. How did Minnesota lose millions without noticing? Well, it's because the system relies on trust. Counties rubber stamp paperwork, audits barely happen, and whistleblowers get ignored. And that's just one program, just one doorway for money to disappear. I'm going to do a part 3, and that's going to give you the names, the
Okay, I can't find one. I got 2 and 3. I got 2 short ones with the other lady, and then we're going to get 2 dogs and then 2 cash. Round off.
At a time. He provided receipts showing California Senator Adam Schiff committed mortgage fraud, which is a felony, by the way. Schiff signed the document claiming the Maryland address was his principal address, and the president wrote, quote, Adam Schiff is a thief. He should be prosecuted just like they tried to prosecute me and everyone else. The only difference is we were totally innocent. It was all a giant hoax. And what's ironic is as soon as the president took office, Adam Schiff had the nerve to say this.
They could go after the president's enemies. They could open investigations of people for no reason, with no evidence. They could really turn people's lives upside down in the process. And of course, merely opening an investigation against someone, even if it's without merit, that can create a cloud over that person.
Oh, now that it's your name on the file, suddenly you're worried about lawfare. Sorry, Schiff, doesn't work like that. Play stupid games, and you're going to win felony charges.
Got one more, and then we'll get to Doug. We might have played this one, but some people might not.
Documents, but to seize the files Trump had, proving there was never any collusion. Just one problem. Trump didn't have the letter, at least not at Mar-a-Lago. According to Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel may have the answers we're now searching for, and we know he has already opened an investigation into what is being called a grand conspiracy.
By treating it as a conspiracy, you eliminate the 5-year statutes on individual crimes. If something happened in 2016, but it was part of an ongoing conspiracy that continued with Jack Smith raiding Donald Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago, it can be charged in the larger conspiracy, even though if you try to charge it in the individual case, you wouldn't get it. Furthermore, you could also change the venue. Remember the troubles John Durham had bringing prosecutions in Washington, D.C.? Jurors wouldn't convict, even if they thought there was criminality going on. In this case, you could pick a place like Florida, where Jack Smith did the raid on Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago house, and say that's where we're putting the grand jury. You get a more fair jury pool, a more fair grand jury pool. It gives Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, an enormous amount of flexibility to do something historic.
Hey, we got a couple of hers tonight. Now we'll get into Doug here.
Took a bullet, and then Trump was indicted 134 times and made a mugshot out of him. And American people were consulted in a vote
and they chose him over the Democrat socialist agenda that they think is going forward. That's where the battle in America is right now. Trump has announced he's pissed. That's not words that I used.
He called the governor a slur for people with intellectual disabilities.
Not on camera, but that is how Trump talks. We're going to show how on the auto pen, Trump is using the auto pen to rip away everything, including this could unseat Ketanji Brown Jackson, who was put into office with an auto pen. Watch this.
Welcome back to this special edition of Hannity. Joe Biden's legacy, it's officially in tatters. Today on Truth Social, President Trump made the following announcement. Quote, I am hereby canceling all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed by crooked Joe Biden, because the people who operated the auto pen did so illegally. Here now with exclusive reaction is the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer. Chairman, thanks so much for joining us. The committee issued a fabulous report. You did the homework, you did the interviews, you came up with the conclusions. And now to see the president take action, was this anticipated? I didn't know Friday after Thanksgiving he was going to do this, but certainly glad to see it.
Well, we didn't know when he was going to do it, but we sure hoped he was going to do it. I mean, the evidence is clear. I think you deserve a lot of credit, Jason. Your oversight project, we're the first to discover the auto pen was used that many times on that many legal documents. Then our committee began our investigative work. I want to brag on our oversight committee members and our staff for doing the.
That's President Joe Biden. They replaced his picture with an auto pen at the White House. And this was posted by James Comer. I know this is an older video from the 28th, which is 3 days ago. But James Comer just posted this again today on his Twitter account about 45 minutes ago. And that's why I'm replaying it. It's showing what their agenda is going forward with this week is they're overturning Joe Biden's auto pen decisions. 92% of his signatures were supposedly by the auto pen.
Positions we worked through the August recess and through the first half of the government shutdown to bring everybody in. And we gave everybody in the Biden administration an opportunity to explain what role Joe Biden played in the use of the auto pen. And no one could give a definitive answer that Joe Biden had any role whatsoever in the use of that. It's not, Jason, it's not the use of the auto pen that we had a problem with on the Oversight Committee. It's the unauthorized use.
That is the quote of the weekend. It's not the use of the auto pen that's the problem. It's the unauthorized use. And that's their claim, is that Biden's staff and other people besides Biden made a decision to use the auto pen. If that's true, then none of those signatures have the presidential authority behind them if it does not reflect his will. And he's so impaired that how could you bring him before a judge and say, do you remember giving your will, when everyone already knows he's in cognitive decline? And so the prosecuting attorneys would say he should take a cognitive test, which he would fail. So they could not use his testimony in court. That's the big news, guys. They can't use his testimony in court to verify that he gave his will. The only other form of his will that would have was if they made any recordings that reflected his will. They don't have any. Any documentation, which is what you're supposed to do anytime you use an auto pen, you're supposed to document it and say, on this day, he gave his will. They don't have those documents. That is, everyone who they brought in and already testified under the brilliant James Comer, they've all said there's no documentation. So they don't really have a defense. So Trump sees it as an opportunity. He drives in, goes, I'm angry. How about we reverse every auto pen decision Biden did that doesn't have proof that it was his will? Prove me wrong. How about now he's going to force that he just flipped it on the Democrats. Now they have to try to prove him wrong that it does reflect Biden's will. And there's no evidence. They've already testified for the last couple of months saying no one has proof of that. There's no documentation that Biden's will. They did never take a movie of him saying, yes, release all those felons.
Of the auto pen. There was no evidence that Joe Biden participated in any of the meetings where the pardons were discussed. We looked at his calendar. We looked at emails. We brought in people for hours and hours of depositions. There were no communications back and forth. So the legal peril here isn't the fact that the auto pen was used excessively. It's the unauthorized use of the auto pen by a president that was clearly in mental and physical decline, and his administration tried to shield that cognitive decline from the American people.
They have no proof of his authorization. And there you go. I don't think they have the proof because they used it without authorization.
Yeah, it is stunning. Set aside the signatures on public laws. If you look at the universe, 88% of the time during 4-year period, evidently the president, it appears, used an auto pen. And you're right, it's those unauthorized, because publicly the president had said, President Biden, that it was for people that, on pardons and whatnot. This is for people who had committed nonviolent crimes. But there were several people who committed violent crimes, murders, in fact, that were actually released or had their death sentences diminished. That's what's so stunning. It was a total, complete different than what the president was saying publicly.
And remember that piece that we did with Barry Weiss, who got purchased by CBS? She broke that story. We were first to put it up on YouTube. And that was when she interviewed Speaker Mike Johnson. And he gave a personal anecdote. He's a witness where he told Biden, you just signed this thing into law. And Biden said, no, I didn't. He had no memory, no recollection of what he signed into law. Speaker Mike Johnson should be Exhibit A. They should be using him as a witness saying, I have proof that something that was signed by an auto pen, Biden rejected and claimed he didn't do. To me, that is the biggest smoking gun against the auto pen. And I don't know why they haven't brought Speaker Mike Johnson in. When he revealed it in an interview, I hope you guys can help me get this video to James Comer. We got to tweet it to him. We got to reach out to him and tell him, get that Speaker Mike Johnson video on Barry Weiss, where he gives the personal anecdote. He's Exhibit A.
Begs the question, did he truly authorize it?
Right. We never found any evidence other than the very last person we brought in, Jeff Zients, who I'm sure he communicated with everyone else that we brought in. He knew the questions we were asking. No one could say, yes, Joe Biden told me to sign this document with my name. Yes, I participated in a meeting with Joe Biden where we discussed this executive order or we discussed this person's pardon. No one, his inner circle, we brought in all of his inner circle, some of whom pled the Fifth Amendment, wouldn't even answer the questions. But those who did, other than Jeff Zients, the very last person, no one could say it. Now, we didn't bring Jill Biden in. Many believe she was the one that was making a lot of decisions. It doesn't matter. What matters, Jason, is that Joe Biden wasn't a part of the process. And the Constitution,
Jill Biden Constitution here.
Constitution is clear. No one has the authority to issue a pardon other than the President of the United States.
But do they have the authority to appoint a Supreme Court judge? No, they don't. Here's Trump. Any document signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with the auto pen, which was approximately 92% of them, Comer says 88% or 86%, is hereby terminated and no further force or effect. Well, it's funny because she also, Ketanji Brown Jackson, was appointed to the Supreme Court and was signed with an auto pen. Does that not invalidate her as a Supreme Court justice? Should not Trump appoint a new Supreme Court justice? Personally, I'm hoping he appoints B. Hizzy. Here's Salty Goat. Are we about to get a Supreme Court vacancy because of the Biden auto pen scandal? And finally, to the people that say boo of Pam Bondi, I got this quote. Pam Bondi drops a live bomb on TV on Fox News, just revealed what the mainstream media refuses to report. Are you ready for this? Homeland Security Kash Patel's already arrested 500 suspected terrorists since January 20th. They're all Muslims.
Working hand in hand with Secretary Noem, Homeland Security. Director Patel has already arrested 500 suspected terrorists since January 20th. We're working hand in hand with Pete Hegseth. And yes, we are bringing in our National Guard to every city we possibly can. Who needs our help? And that's a lot of them.
So we have some acts of terror where the people do get away with it, but they've already stopped 500 acts of terror. To the people that say nothing's going on and Pam Bondi does nothing, they're, of course, passing on Democrat lies, largely funded by Saudi Arabian robots, programming us to think that so that Trump will get rid of the most effective attorney general in our history, most effective FBI director, Kash Patel, his most effective assistant, Dan Bongino. They're after the administration because it's effective. The Democrats are scared and running, and Trump needs to keep doubling down and giving them chaos like he did by saying, all of the auto pen, how about I run that scandal? All of them are reversed, and the Democrats have to go quick, get our Boasberg-type judges to reverse all of whatever Trump is trying to say. So he's gumming them up. They're trying to gum him up, and the battle continues. Are you still in the battle? Are you praying for Trump? Are you praying for this country's future? My next video is going to be about how we're falling into...
So, what do you guys think on that? Do you think they'll find evidence on Potato? You think he'll be guilty on that? So I'm going to try to get 4 more videos, 2 more Doug, and then 2 Cash videos. A lot of intel tonight again. So I'll probably go to 8:30.
Epps rally to get the open seat that got opened up by a retiring Republican. He has to keep the numbers on our side. Well, it was great because Trump calls into the event live today. We're going to show you that exchange. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are, because Tennessee, we're in bad shape, guys. Socialism is crawling its way in here, but they didn't win this one, or they won't win this one today, especially if all the happy patriots in this area go in and vote. Welcome to Doug in Exile as I give you exciting local elections. This is how it's going to be all the way through 2026, guys. So subscribe to make sure that you don't miss a single episode. Here's Speaker Mike Johnson with the president.
2 things above all else that bothered me. Number 1, she hates Christianity.
That's Afton Ben, the Democrat. I moved to Tennessee. There's a lot of fake Christians here. Fake. So this is a Democrat. Her name is Aftyn, A-F-T-Y-N, Ben, Aftyn Ben, which I think stands for often been wrong. A-F-T-Y-N, that's what happens when you let a Ouija board name your kid. Aftyn Ben, a socialist who hates Christianity, hates country music, versus a profound patriot, Matt Van Epps, and Trump is doing a quick call-in just to make sure.
Number 2, she hates country music. How the hell can you elect a person like that? So I just want to give my total support, and he's had it right from the beginning, to Matt Van Epps.
She is against country music, and this is going to show how woke Tennessee is, how close this election is. I believe we'll get the results tomorrow. Congressional District 7. I'm just outside of that district, even though they're doing this big rally here in Franklin, Tennessee, because Franklin is a real stronghold. They didn't do it up in Nashville or out in Memphis because that's Democrat land. Country music's been taken over by woke, pro-gay agenda, pro-trans agenda, pro-abortion agenda. Country music has fallen. It's woke. But there's still the old school country, like Dad used to love, producers, people still making great country music, and even radical guys like Kid Rock, they're a hardcore MAGA, are kind of the new voice of bringing hip hop and punk rock and hard rock into country music. So this is a cultural thing, because look, Californians have poured into the state. I'm one of them. But look, let's face it, I'm one of the more conservative Californians to come in. So after California socialists ruined the country of California, ruined the state of California, ruined the state of New York, they come pouring into Tennessee to ruin it next.
He's going to be a fantastic congressman. He's going to represent you so well, and we'll keep our agenda going. And I'm going to make a call tonight about 7 or 8 o'clock. I'm doing a tele-rally for him tonight. So if anybody wants to listen, basically I'll be saying the same things I just said. He's fantastic, and go get him and get out tomorrow morning, get out and vote, and let's make it a sweeping victory. The whole world is watching Tennessee right now, and they're watching your district. The whole world. It's a big vote. It's going to show something, and it's got to show that the Republican Party is stronger. All right, President.
Now, remember, you have to know that Often Ben is going to get a lot of Democrat funding to get the vote out here in Tennessee. They're going to scrape up every Democrat, socialist, homeless person on drugs. They'll pull the needle out of their arm and give them a voting card, even if they can't match the signature. That's how Democrats do it. Trump will have another phone call tonight.
Ed.
That'll be
Oh,
probably
yeah.
right around 6 p.m. local. I should
Have
have,
a night
it should be
event
just
down
after
there.
this video airs.
Yeah,
But tomorrow is the big vote. If you're here in Tennessee, in that district, make sure you get out and vote. It is important that as many patriots show up to counter the socialist, satanic, anti-Christian, anti-country music of Often Ben. Now, here's my point on that, how close that election is. This guy is saying, David Marcus, my serious warning to Republicans. This is for us.
Mamdani is going to be the next mayor of New York. He's obviously a Democratic socialist. And a lot of Republicans have kind of said, oh, watch and see what happens to New York. That's going to be the death of socialism. You don't necessarily think that's the case.
No, I don't. And thanks for having me, John. Also, the conventional wisdom regarding Mamdani was that his victory was going to be a boon for Republicans in the midterms because they could just point at socialism and say, there's the boogeyman. I don't think that this is going to work. I think there is a real misreading of the ground in Middle America, the heartland, call it whatever you want. I spend most of my time there talking to voters, and they're not terrified of socialism, and they're not the conservative, what we used to call blue dog Democrat types that you expect to find there. One quick example.
So cultural conservatism, guys, is going soft. Culturally, the default of conservatives might be, hey, I want me some welfare. How am I going to eat?
230-somethings that I met in Dallas, these guys were Democrats, but not hardcore. Socialism came up.
There she is. There's Often Ben. Female Antichrist. Not today, Often Ben. The fourth seal wasn't blown yet, so you don't get to come in on your death horse.
I asked a question that we hear a lot on this channel, where has it ever worked? Without missing a beat, the first guy said Norway. Second guy chimes in and says Sweden and Finland. Now, look, we can debate that, and we kind of did those models, but the takeaway here is that when I said socialism, their mental image was not bread lines in Cuba or the former Soviet Union. It was free healthcare and generous vacation packages in Scandinavia. So I think Republicans have to understand the ground is a little different than they think it is right now.
Yeah, so we need to do better on educating people, which I will spend the next year doing. I hope you'll subscribe as I find new facts about socialism rising up in America, or what the philosophy actually means, which is putting government in, basically in control, business, all means of production under the government, so no free market. I will report it to you, but also this is more about our culture. You guys know that I report a lot about even entertainment because I came out of comics, so I watched the power of culture, or as Andrew Breitbart used to say, politics are downstream from culture. That is, you win the culture, you win the Christian family, baptize your kids, promote patriotism, love America, Trump's MAGA agenda, and you will win politics downstream. That's what Trump did. Here's Elon Musk on reversing the woke mind virus, which, again, some of you are in my audience, you're going, I'm a patriot, I believe in abortion. Well, you're carrying the enemy's water. You go, I'm a patriot, I'm gay, I'm married. You're still carrying the enemy's water. Socialism wants the destruction of family. They want to promote gay marriage. That is, men and men are interchangeable with men and women. There's a lot of feminists in my audience going, I don't have a problem with a woman choosing to go on birth control her whole life, never getting married, and just becoming a professional executive and getting her boss coffee because she would never get her husband coffee. Okay, now I'm going to get everyone angry. Sorry about that. I'm just telling you guys, we on the right are carrying a whole lot of socialist water for the left. You're going, you know what? Maybe I like a little welfare. And you're an able-bodied working American and you're not working. Instead, you're milking the system. I'm just saying, I do things that are against my own values also sometimes. So I'm not coming at anyone with a different perspective than that. I'm only saying, guys, we got to win this ideological war. Personal holiness, personal repentance, looking inside is the key. Straightening out our own house. Long before we can go fix the Democrat side of the thing, we have to ourselves be adhered to the truth. Here's Elon Musk. The woke mind virus is easy to measure. Now it's being purged. Good. Here's the woke mind virus in media. Yearly mentions of prejudice in popular U.S. media outlets. So here's racism. You can see down here, it was barely mentioned in the New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, Wall Street Journal. By 2020, look how much over here on the right it was mentioned. Sexism, sexist, and misogyny, very low in the 70s. Peak, and then now it's coming back down this year where it's not being mentioned as much. Here's homophobia, and homophobic was never even mentioned until probably 1985, right? Peak of the AIDS epidemic. It bubbled up some, 90s, 2000s, not big. Then Obama got in office. Look at it shoot straight up to peak over here in 2019. Maximum cancel time for me out of Comicsgate and these weird fake right-wing comics areas that were pro-gay agenda. We're talking about fake right, fake conservative, fake pro-family because they're pro-gay marriage, also in our churches. Here's transphobia and transphobic, a term, let me get down here in the corner so you can see the flat line, non-existent until 2010, 2015. It spiked up at the very peak at 2020. Then they lost an election, so it's back down. Here's Islamophobia and Islamophobic, flatlined all the way to about 2005 during the Gulf War. Then it peaked in 2015, 2018, and now it's back on the decline. And here's anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic, low, somewhat there in the 80s and 90s, and then peaked in 2019. This just shows the power of the internet to try to control the way you think. Here's Trump-supported Matt Van Epps. This is my pushback on Marjorie Taylor Greene and the anti-Semites. This guy, Hi Diddly Do, posts the tracking APAC-o-meter, where Matt Van Epps took $8,500 from the pro-Israel lobby APAC, and they're trying to scare you out of voting for him. To put Often Ben, an anti-Christian, anti-country music, hardcore Mom Donnie socialist in office, feminist, hardcore pro-transing the kids, taking them out of their parents' authority structure and having the state take it over. And they think because Israel, a pro-Israel lobby, gave Matt Van Epps $8,500, you shouldn't vote for him? That's some real Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, loser, libertarian, atheistic Ayn Rand thinking. Get this crap out of our party, guys. We have a war to win. Matt Van Epps, it's not even close. Of course you vote for Matt Van Epps. There's some people that hate Israel so much, they will not vote for Matt Van Epps. Good job. Good strategy, dummy. Here's Ken Pascoe trying to go against what Trump just said in that spoken phone call with Mike Johnson. He says, Often Ben did not explicitly say that she hates Christianity. The claim that she did was made by President Trump and other Republicans as a political attack point during her 2025 special election campaign for Tennessee's 7th congressional district. The claim appears to be a characterization of comments Ben made in a June 2024 podcast appearance where she discussed her discomfort with the prominent role of Christianity in state legislature. So this is what all the seculars say, including here in the Republican Party. They say, you can be Christian so long as you don't let it affect anything. Don't let it affect your life. Don't let it affect your elections. Don't let it affect your opinion on state legislature. See that as long as you put it in the closet and let them run They don't put their atheism in the closet. They don't put their Islam in the closet. They don't put their Zoroastrianism and their Hinduism in the closet. They don't put their secular humanism, Marxism in the closet. They want you to put your Christianity in the closet so it has no effect. Ben described herself as more secular. I'll say secular. That means being run by the world, run by Satan's domain. She expressed difficulty with religion being central to legislative activities. Well, what about feminism being central to legislative? How come you don't have a problem with that? You be citing practices like prayer at the start of sessions.
One more video.
Ooh, prayer. And the influence of Christian pastors. When have Christian pastors ever had influence, guys? I wish. She noted this made her and some constituents I'm uncomfortable with your faith. Get over it. Jesus saved me. You have no say. You have no say. You're uncomfortable? Good. You should be uncomfortable in your sin, given where you're going. I'm begging you to repent. That's me doing you a favor or God doing you a favor. And you're going to refuse and go, no, thank you. I will pay for everything I've done in my life. I've got this. Jesus, your time spent on the cross sacrifice for me was a waste. It was a joke. I reject it. I don't need to repent. What lunatic talks that way, guys? Repent. Always. She noted this made her, and some cases, someone could go, the uncomfortable, the blue-haired constituents. Republican opponents have used these comments along with separate remarks where Ben said she hates aspects of Nashville's tourist scene to portray her as a far-left candidate. No, you're a far-left candidate, lady. I see right through you. You're psychotic. Your Goebbels level, round up the people and turn them over to the state. If people are dumb enough to elect you, and Tennessee can be dumb, guys, the women here will go, I like Often Ben. I want to fit in. I want to wear my cowboy boots and my pretty dress and go to the Bridgestone Arena. Ben described her Nashville comments as hyperbolic and made as a private. Oh, I was a private citizen. They're not real. They're hyperbolic. What an imbecile. And she's going to claim like, hey, here's another one. This is another liar, another Democrat. Here's Blue Dog Democrat. Number one, Trump isn't a Christian. I never claimed he was a Christian. I've only claimed that he is used by Christianity and used by God. Number two, he doesn't know a single country song. Now, this guy is the dumbest person in the world for saying that. Trump doesn't know a single country song. I'm going to let my audience fill in the blank down below. What is the number one song that Trump walks out to every single time he takes a stage? It's by a certain guy who lives right here in Franklin, Mr. Greenwood.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up with one. Getting tired. Try to get one cash in.
To remove a sign declaring Mexican Beach Department of Defense property.
So as America's battle against cartels heats up, it looks like the U.S. military is up to something in Mexico. And while the Mexican government has condemned the idea of U.S. troops or even contractors crossing the border for any reason, many law-abiding Mexicans protesting cartel-linked government corruption see this whole situation very differently. And when you add these protests to potential U.S. military action, it makes it look like this cartel sanctuary is about to collapse.
Tonight, with America's largest aircraft carrier now in the Caribbean, and after another U.S. strike, President Trump signaling he's willing to expand his war on cartels into Mexico and Colombia, too.
Would I launch strikes in Mexico? We know their address. We know their front door. I would be proud to do it personally. I didn't say I'm doing it, but I would be proud to do it.
Americans already know cartels run Mexico like parallel states, and strikes aren't the first step. We know that the U.S. can and are now fighting cartel finances, supply chains, and weapons flows without occupying any territory. The problem, Will, is Mexico's government. Many politicians owe their careers to cartel financing.
These cartels are very powerful. They possess, in many cases, more weapons, better training, better intelligence, and more capabilities than nation
nation states do. And to make it even more spicy, the US's accidental invasion of Mexico happened on the same day that Donald Trump said that he would be okay with bombing cartels in the country.
So the Mexican president says the United States is trying to cause an international incident over this alleged border incursion. But what nobody's talking about is Mexico has caused an international incident or two by allegedly harboring cartels within its own borders, who then do things inside the country and outside of it as well. Something the people of Mexico are sick and tired of, which became obvious when protests took over the capital. Protests that never would have happened without American leadership singling out these dangerous cartels and telling them it's time to give up. And for the first time, you've got the law-abiding citizens of Mexico and law-abiding Americans who are united on the idea that these cartels should control absolutely nothing. Everyone feels that way, except, of course, these criminals who just want more. And it's alleged that the president of Mexico is firmly in their sphere of influence, along with other operatives and conspirators at all levels of the Mexican government, which is why the bad guys always seem to survive Mexico's never-ending crackdowns that never end because they never seem to work. Which brings us to the real reason this alleged incursion into Mexican territory is such a big deal. It's happening at a time when the Trump administration has made it crystal clear the reign of these criminal organizations needs to come to an end for the benefit of everyone. With these signs on the beach being planted the very same day the president said he'd have no problem authorizing strikes in Mexican territory, even potentially escalating things in a manner that has never before happened in our history. But the big question now is, how did these signs even get into Mexico?
Turns out, though, it wasn't just one sign, it was 6, and they were placed there on accident. Only after it was investigated by the heavily armed Mexican Navy, the Pentagon admitted that contractors hired by the DoD were instructed to place these signs on the Texas side of the border. But, quote, changes in the water depth and the typography alter the perception of the international boundaries location.
Okay, so the U.S. military didn't hop its own border wall and then plant signs in an area that was obviously not U.S. territory. Instead, they entered an unmarked area, and the mainstream news wants us to think that the U.S., which has GPS satellite...
I think I'm going to wrap it up. I think everybody's getting tired. So, we got a lot out tonight. A lot of news out there. So 2 hours go by quick. God bless everybody. I love all. Remember, please just like and sub to the backup channel. Thanks, Kay. JJ, everybody. Stay safe, stay strong. Eat the faith and never give up. It's good to see you, Kubi. Yep, everybody. Thanks, Kim, everybody. Yep, we're getting a lot of people back in the chat, so that's good. Everybody's starting to find me again. So, signing off, Chico and Dude. Till tomorrow.